Well, hey guys, it's Ryland, your local Behringer fanboy, I guess, because for years we've utilized the X32, the Midas M32, and now we have a Behringer Wing Black Edition at front of house here, and then a Wing Compact in our broadcast audio booth that we have occasionally someone man separately. But in this video, I want to walk you through our setup here on their front of house board and how we're still utilizing this the majority of the time to run front of house for in our new remodeled space, but also a separate mix for broadcast audio. So we're going to talk about our effects, some of the specific things we're doing to treat audience mics, and just the way we have this board laid out to make it work for my 5 different volunteer audio guys week in and week out.
I'm clean, sin was stained on me, and shame was running deep, but love was spilled on Calvary. Oh, hallelujah, I'm clean. God, how can it be? I'm ransomed and redeemed. I'm standing in your victory. I've been washed in the water, washed in the blood, I'm as good as new. Oh, hallelujah, I've been washed in the water, washed in the blood, all because of you. Oh, hallelujah.
So I'm sure things will change, but I did want to post in the description a link to this show file if you want to download it, play around with it, and make it even better. Okay, let's look at the way I have the board laid out. Okay, starting off, we have everything patched 1-to-1 in our main channels here. And then I have everything set up for my users, my sound guys, so that way they only have to flip between users 1 and user 2. Basically, on a weekly basis, they're not really having to jump around at all. So if they're on user 1, we've got all of our mics, all of our guitars, we've got all of our keys and tracks, and then our pastor mic. And then our DCAs are made up of drums, vocals, band group, and then tracks. And then also on this bank, I've added our reverb and delay controls sliders. Over in this section, the only thing we're using is our tap tempo for our delay. And then on this bank of faders, we have our mains, and then Spotify and our pastor. So these are just quick access things that obviously correspond to what's going on over here. On user 2, I have all of our drums. So user 1 is all the band and vocals, user 2 is all drums. To me, that just makes the most sense. So what is happening in the broadcast mix to make it kind of shine a little more? Well, there's a few things. If we select our broadcast mix and go into the effects, on effects 9, I've added the enhancer with some stereo spread happening and some limiting of the low frequency spread. And that, I'll show you what that sounds like as we turn it on and off. It's subtle, but it does help spread out things. So listen here.
Holy forever.
Off.
Oh, Jesus, your name is the highest. Your name is the greatest. Your name, it stands above them all thrones.
So the stereo enhancer is just giving it a little more room to play there. And then I've also got the precision limiter on, the Trestial precision limiter, that is just making sure it's not overdriving.
Holy forever. Oh, Jesus, your name is the highest. Your name is the greatest. Your name, it stands.
One of the mistakes I've made in the past is really squashing your mix too much with the precision limiter. And So I'm trying not to do that too much because then it can start feeling a little pulsy. So those are how we're treating the broadcast mix. Other things that we're doing, if we go into our effects section, the first effect that we have is our stereo vocal effect. I'm a fan of the Vintage Room setting. So if I solo out just my vocals here on my DCA, and let's listen to, I'll mute my delay as well.
Holy forever. Oh Jesus, your name is the highest.
There, it's muted.
Your name is the greatest. Your name, it stands above them all.
So you can copy these settings if you like. Those will all be in the file as well. And if I go back to my effects section, I can show you our stereo vocal delay now. So I'll unmute my delay as well.
Holy forever. Oh Jesus, your name is the.
I'll solo out the delay,
Your name is the.
and you can see
Your name, it stands above them all.
I don't really want all that.
All thrones,
You can do some of that
all power,
in here as well.
your name, it stands above them all.
And then I'll solo that.
Name is the highest. Your name is the great. Your name, it stands above them all. Above all thrones.
Other effects that we have going is our drum verb. So if I solo out the drums, you'll be able to hear I'm using this vintage reverb. I'll solo out the drums. Dry, wet. All right, let's look at our other effects that we have. We did set up a gated reverb that I don't currently use. It's here if you like gated reverb on the snare, but that's just not something I've loved. We do have this BodyRez on for our bass guitar, which I may need to take off. I don't know. It depends on the user. We have a Helix Stomp XL, and then our guy that's playing this week, I believe, has his own setup. And so if I solo out that bass guitar, it's just giving a little more body. So that's pretty subtle, actually. One thing that we're trying to make sure we do is on all of our inputs to make sure that they're hitting that -18 area to where you're just seeing that first yellow light hitting on these tracks. So you can see my tracks are all hitting yellows here, okay? And what that's gonna do is make for good monitoring on stage through our DP48s, but also just a healthy mix for hitting everything else, all of our gates, all of our compressions. So let's dive in now to the drums. This is snare. Using this wave designer. So those are some of the effects, gates, compressions that you can go in and look at. We are using the Lawton Audio mic set that I've been pretty happy with. The main thing I think that helps your drum set a lot is dialing in all of your gates really well to where they work for your space and for your players. And so one thing we are doing on the snare is we have the wave designer, which brings a little more punch to that snare as it's being played. So that's kind of fun to play with. On the kick, I don't know why, we were just trying this other LA2A for the compression on it, which, whatever, it's good. The kick sounds great. Man, that Lawton kick mic sounds awesome. And then we also do have a snare trigger that's coming in from our SPD-SX, but one thing that I've realized from the SPD-SX is that it's a little out of time, like 10 milliseconds, and so I've actually opted to not use that snare trigger currently. One thing I do want to show you is the way we're utilizing side chaining to make our crowd mics come up in the mix whenever the drums aren't playing. Now on the Wing, I can't figure out a way to side chain my crowd mics to the actual drum bus. That's not an option in the key source here. So I actually had to create a sidechain group here on channel 39 that now the drums are feeding into, so that way I can key my compressor off of that drum sidechain. So essentially what's happening is, as the drums are playing, it squashes down these crowd mics, but then when the drums stop playing, we have really long release time here to where those slowly open up. So let me play a section of our service where we were playing full band, and then it's gonna go to an area where it's mostly people just singing, and you'll see those mics and hear those mics come up, okay? Here we go.
You will always be holy, holy forever, and you will always be holy, holy forever.
All right, now the crowd's gonna sing this next hymn. Listen to this.
Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty. Early in the morning, our song shall rise to thee.
All right, so that really helps automate the crowd mics, not having to have somebody constantly bringing those up and down with that key source. Another thing we've done is we've set all of the channels' alternate inputs to whatever their USB source is. And so if you go in here and you look at the alternate input, that way when we go to setup, we can just swap between main and alternate, and it swaps everything all at once. And you can set channels to obey that or not. And so that's really helpful when you're playing back things for a virtual sound check. So everybody sets up their boards uniquely, but this is how it's working for us currently. All right, guys, make sure that you download that Wing file for this show down in the description below. It's for free. And then, hey, if you have any tips or tricks of ways that we can improve our sound, let me know that in the comments as well. It's always a journey as you get into a new space, new sound system, new mics, all the things to get everything dialed in correctly. And I think that we're well on our way to having a great front of house mix that also translates well for broadcast when we need it. All right, guys, remember, we can do a lot of great things. Let's do it all for God's glory. We'll see you in the next one.